Evan from caneandablefitness, your fitness resource for the blind and visually impaired. Today we're going to have a little bit of a long form video where I talk, still briefly, about safety versus efficacy. So this is a really hot topic to me because I've worked with many different disabled populations, and a lot of people who put disabled people through workouts tend to veer way too far on safety. And we have a little Venn diagram here where safety and efficacy interlap. So what we want to do is not just focus on safety and what is going to keep people super safe, because exercise inherently needs to be effective as well. We need to get a strong stimulus. Now, we can take that way too far as well, where we just focus on something being super effective in a really hard, big stimulus, like heavy workout, but we can also put ourselves at risk that way. So if we think about things being way too safe, it can be something like a chair squat when you should be loading up a few hundred pounds on your back. And if we're thinking too effective, it could be running with a yoke with 700 pounds on your back when you should be focusing on squatting 135 pounds way better and focusing on that depth and movement pattern and not having that much weight on your spine. So it's this in-between area where we're going to see the really good long-term results. Now, I have a couple more examples of how blending safety and efficacy is actually far more advantageous than going either direction alone. So that meeting in the middle, making sure something is safe yet effective, makes things even better. So one example is when you are in a lunge. When you have a visual impairment, you tend to have poor balance. Now, if we're wobbling all over the place, think about trying to sprint on ice, we're going to have a lot of trouble actually activating enough muscles. Your body is just going to be hanging on for dear life. It's not going to give you as much muscle when it comes to like an activation standpoint. If you think about like standing on one of those half Swiss balls, those Bosu balls, where it's really wobbly, they've done all kinds of studies showing that different instability devices like that don't allow you to really use your fast twitch muscle fibers, and instead it's just the slow twitch stuff and your little stabilizers trying to hang on for dear life. Instead of, let's say again, you're loading up a couple of plates on each side on a back squat or a really heavy leg press, something like that. That's where we're actually going to be able to really get an effective workout and tax those muscles. So if we reverse back to that thought of the lunge, if we're super unstable, that's not going to allow us to add any weight, find any stability, have good speed on the way up, anything like that. And we're going to be really cut short. Let's say if we feel really unstable, you're only able to get 8 reps. But if you would just put your hand on a table, a chair, and if you're doing this at the gym, just stabilizing yourself on the rack or something, then we don't have to worry about that nearly as much. You're in a more stable environment. Your brain's going to let your muscles open up more and activate far better. And let's say you would have had 8 unstable ones where you're trying to hang on for dear life, and instead with that little bit of stability, you're able to get 12, 15. I've experienced this a lot myself, where I'm much more focused on just not falling, and instead, once I add that little bit of stability point, I'm able to add weight, I'm able to go way harder. So again, with being effective, we can think about other strategies as well. If you're worried about having issues with your balance, knowing where you are in space, everything like that, you can explore something like a Hatfield split squat, where you have a safety squat bar that loads you, and yet you're able to use both hands on a support, whether in the front or on the sides of the rack, in order to make sure that you're able to help yourself up, make sure you know where you are in space, where the rack is compared to where you are, regardless of level of vision. You can also do a Hatfield squat where it's bilateral squat, normal, but again, you're hanging onto a bar that's out the front in order to keep that good balance and be able to feel those positions a lot better, while that safety squat bar, which stays on your shoulders, is able to keep things nice and loaded heavy for you. So you're able to be nice and safe, help yourself out, act as your own self-spotter, but get a really effective workout. And if you've never tried a Hatfield split squat or a regular Hatfield squat, I highly recommend you do that, especially going nice and slow and controlled on the way down, exploding back up, and they are terrible. So super effective, yet super safe. So when we're thinking about safety and efficacy when it comes to moving things as well, we can also make sure that we are erring on the side of caution while getting in a good workout. Let's think if we're visually impaired and we don't know where we'd be sprinting, but we want to get some action of being able to actually get kind of a running movement in, then what we could do is we could know where we are on, let's say, turf that has a sled to push at the gym. So you're able to get a really effective workout, get the running motion that you wanted while also throwing on a little bit of resistance so that we're not running faster than we're used to, not used to where we need to be slowing down, anything like that. You're probably going to get a lot more cues because you're automatically slowed down because of the sled, but you get a great stimulus. So again, blending safety and efficacy is going to allow you to have those long-term results by meeting those two in the middle. I could go all day about this, but if you have any sort of questions about maybe you're veering too much towards safety and you need something to be a little bit more effective, or you have something that's really challenging and you don't feel safe doing it and we need to figure out how to bring that back to the middle, go ahead and comment and let me know and we'll be able to figure it out together.